So I'll just have to do this quickly because Ollie is hungry. But this is where my belly is up to for day 2. And I'm just wearing like a zip up bra at the front because that way I don't have to like lift my arms to put a bra over the top, and I can adjust it as my boobs kind of get a bit bigger with my milk coming in. But it is like fairly squishy. I don't want to push too hard, but you can see that it has gone down quite a significant amount. I am having to wear my trackies like all the way up high-waisted just because that's what's more comfortable than having it sit down on my incision. I am having a bit of bleeding, but not anything hectic at all. I just have to keep changing like pads a couple times a day, but it's not like anything like hemorrhaging or anything, and it hasn't been at all from the get-go. Like, it's been pretty good. But yeah, otherwise it's just I'm getting a little bit of pain with standing now, which I didn't really have yesterday, but I think that's just because I did a bit of walking yesterday, and like obviously, yeah, I'm just learning to get on top of my meds again. Hey mums, today is Saturday and I am now 3 days postpartum, and so I thought I would give you guys my update for today. I have had a lot of my tummy go down now. That's all it looks like. So basically like I am 20 weeks pregnant again. So pain wise today I did manage to sleep laying a little bit more flat last night. I didn't actually have the bed sitting fully up, and that was a little bit of a struggle to get up this morning, but I did manage it for the most part for the night. The reason why it was such a struggle is because I didn't have my endone and everything overnight. So again, this morning I was feeling really sore because everything had kind of worn off. So I'm finding without the endone, I can't get up and move around, but when I do have the endone, I can move around pretty well. My bleeding has pretty well disappeared. I have very minimal now, and other than that, I don't really have a headache or anything. My incision is a little bit sore, but feels more like an ache in that area at the moment with the pain relief. So pretty good for 3 days postpartum. I can pick Bub up. Obviously I can't pick Hunter up or anything like that though, but doing good I think so far. My milk has come in today and I've been expressing, which you guys, by the time you will have seen this, will already have known why I was expressing for Oliver. But yeah, so far so good. Good morning everyone. Today is Sunday and I'm now 4 days postpartum. Ollie is having a sleep, so I thought I would quickly give my postpartum update for the day. I actually haven't had any endone this morning. I've just had Tramadol and Panadol and Nurofen. I've had my Clexane injection, which is like the thing to stop me from clotting, which is painful as anything, but I got it in my leg today instead of my belly like I did yesterday, so much less painful. But I'm noticing that this morning, even though I'm like a bit uncomfortable without the endone, I can actually stand without it now, so that's good news. My milk has definitely come in. I'm pumping so much now that I had to go get some more bottles because when I was emptying, I pumped 140 ml, was still full, and the bottles were full, so I had to go get some more. So I need to finish pumping in a second, but I thought I'd show you where my belly is at. So obviously I'm just wearing like PJs. I'm not really wearing the most flattering outfit, but today is day 4. That's where my belly is up to, and my belly button is still like popped out. When I touch it, it has been like, it does really sting in this one corner here, and I'm not too sure why. You guys can see like I do still have that little bit of a stretch mark here, but it's faded a lot already. And I got in the last week before I had him the line down here, which is still there, but it didn't come till the last minute. So you definitely see it's definitely going down, and I just look like a little bit pregnant now obviously, but nowhere near as much. You can see like it's all missing up here, and definitely tell my milk's in. So that's pretty well it for my day 4 update. I don't have a headache, managed to sleep better last night. I'm managing to actually this time, the whole time I've been able to like cross my legs afterwards, which with my first C-section I couldn't do that at all for like months. So that's really good. I can even like sit on the bed with that like that. I can lay like on my side and my back. I'm finding that there's a lot more positions that I can kind of do that I couldn't do with Hunter's C-section. So I definitely feel like this one has been much more successful and a lot less painful. Good morning everyone. So today Oliver is just over 2 weeks old. He turned 2 weeks yesterday and I am due for another postpartum update. Didn't do one at 1 week. Things just got a little bit hectic and I actually ended up with what I think was a UTI. So I was in pain for a couple of days there, but pretty well from day 10. I have only had like a couple of rounds of Panadol, and before then I was still on my endone and tramadol. They didn't give me quite a big script, so it ran out pretty fast once I left the hospital. But the last couple of days I've managed on just pretty well Panadol, which is good. I definitely think that my pain has been a lot less this time round, aside from the couple of days that I think I had a UTI. Just because I've noticed that the middle of my incision, because I've had so many surgeries there now, it is actually quite numb, and only the outer edges where they've done a big cut is actually sensitive, if that makes sense. I tried to take my bandage off the other day because they said to take it off at 10 days, and the outside part was so painful to take off that I actually haven't finished taking it off yet, so I need to get that off today. My belly took a lot longer to go down this time, and it's only been the last couple of days that it's actually started to fully go down. So I'll show you guys quickly where that's up to. So I'm wearing my trackies now, but this is essentially where my belly is up to now. So it is a lot smaller there, but you can still notice it. So I think that the reason why it was bloated for a lot longer this time is actually because I was constipated for a lot longer this time. Sorry, TMI, but that's the point of these postpartum updates, is to tell you guys basically what my postpartum recovery is like. So yeah, I think that that's why, and probably also why I had like exacerbated pain on top of what I think was a UTI. Because for a couple of days there I didn't even feel like I could walk, and I was having to take endone or tramadol just to get out of bed. But the other days and even now I've been perfectly fine, aside from some minor discomfort. So as for breastfeeding, even though I'm going to do like a full video on my breastfeeding journey with Ollie, I'm still expressing and getting around like 200 to 260 ml per time I pump. I'm only pumping a couple of times a day at the moment. I've dropped down from doing it every single feed because I've got a little bit lazy with it. But yeah, so that's really good. I'm really happy that I got my Spectra, which I'll do a full like video review of later, but I definitely get a lot more out of that than I ever did with my Avent pump. And I also find that it's a lot more comfortable, and I spend a lot less time. I noticed that I really only have to pump for like 3 to 5 minutes just to get my whole letdown pumped out. So it's not even like pumping for producing more milk or anything like that, versus I used to spend like a good hour with my Avent pump trying to get milk out. So that's a really good positive, and I've been able to feed that to Hunter in his bottle, so he's having like a lot less almond milk now and a lot more breast milk, which is awesome and probably really good for him, even though it has messed with his tummy a little bit. I've noticed that he goes through a lot more nappies at the moment, but either way, at least the breast milk is good for him. I still get a few moments of like being engorged, but generally that's only when Ollie's had like a massive sleep, or if it's like first thing in the morning or something like that, or right before bed. And that's probably only just because I'm not pumping as much at the moment. Once Tom goes back to work, which is still a month away, I'm probably going to pump like 3 times a day. I think I'll pump like first thing in the morning, first thing before bed, and then
another time throughout the day or something like that, just so that I can keep feeding Hunter. I decided that I didn't really want to pump every single feed at the moment, because then I was going to end up with more milk than Hunter needed, and it would fill up my freezer really quickly, which I really didn't want. But obviously I still want to keep pumping regularly, otherwise it's going to be harder if I do need the milk for Ollie to get that supply going. But also it's just a little bit hard to get motivated to pump when it is cold, because it has been quite cold at the house lately, and I kind of have to sit in front of the heater just to pump. So as for my bleeding, you don't actually bleed as much after a C-section as a natural birth, I'm told. And both of my son's pregnancies, once I'd had them via C-sections, I didn't bleed much very long afterwards. So about 9 days, I had absolutely nothing left. It left for a couple of days, and then it's like kind of come back as like tiny bits of spotting, but not really a lot, enough to need a liner, but not enough to need like a full pad. So that's good. But I did have a moment yesterday where I felt like all day like I had my period, which is really weird because the rest of the time I haven't really had that pain. So that sucked, because I was like sitting there going, am I getting my period? But at the same time, I know it's too early, because usually they don't count anything before 6 weeks as a period. With Hunter, I got them back at 7 weeks postpartum, which really sucked, because I literally fed him every single 3 hours, never missed a feed at all until 7 weeks, and then got it back. And I'd always like counted on the whole, if you didn't go over 3 hours, then you wouldn't get it back for a while. Still got it back. That's not why we fed 3 hourly, but it was something that I kind of held on to as a bit of hope. This time I've just kind of not even thought about that. I just know that it'll come back when it comes back. But I am definitely dreading it, because I have no idea what my endometriosis is going to be like now after a second pregnancy, or my 4th pregnancy, but second baby. And yeah, so that's going to be very interesting. They did talk to me multiple times about contraception in the hospital, and as some of you guys would know, I have a few other medical concerns that I have to go back to actually talk to them about what we're going to do, because we're not having any more kids for medical reasons now. And so at the moment it's a little undecided what's happening, because originally I was meant to have a hysterectomy for medical reasons. So for those of you who are thinking of having a repeat C-section, some good news for you is that I did actually manage to lay on my belly last night, and with Hunter I couldn't do that until 3 months postpartum comfortably, and last night I actually managed to roll over onto my belly, and Ollie is now 15 days old, so he turned 2 weeks yesterday, and I actually managed to do that pretty comfortably, so I was pretty impressed with that. Didn't sleep like that at all, but like I was impressed that I was able to roll over onto it and not be in a lot of pain, and actually be somewhat quite comfortable. I am still sleeping quite propped up in bed, just because I still don't have access to my stomach muscles as good as I used to, which makes it harder to sit up and down. So I am finding that I still have to pull on the side of the bassinet to sit myself up, or put Ollie down if I'm leaning back too far, and then try and get myself up. So heads up, with a second C-section, you still lose the access to your tummy muscles, which can make things a little bit more difficult in terms of that. Obviously, I can't do anything like heavy lifting still until I'm 6 weeks postpartum. I was about to say 6 months. But yeah, otherwise I think generally I feel like I could do most things, but I just know that I shouldn't, because it's going to make things worse. So I'm still not doing the housework, even though I feel like there's some things that I could do, but I know that it's not good for me to do them before the 6 weeks. So this time I'm trying to be a little bit more strict on myself and not do it. Hey mums, Oliver is 3 weeks old tomorrow, so I thought I'd do a quick postpartum update and show you guys where I'm up to, what my body looks like and what my scar looks like. I did have a little bit of trouble getting my bandage off when I took it off about a week ago, however long it was, and basically I needed to use some baby oil to get it off because it was stuck to my skin. So if you are someone who has a bandage that gets stuck, the way that I got it off in the end was I peeled what I could of the outside part off, and then I basically got a bottle of baby oil and tipped it underneath so that it would go all in through it, and then I got cotton buds and basically just kind of pushed that at it to try and like remove the adhesive from the bandage. And then I had to, any like pubic hair that had grown back, I basically had to like cut to separate from the bandage. So it did take me quite a while. I think Mum and Tom said it probably took me about 45 minutes to do. So it was a bit of a process, but from experience, having had one pulled off really quickly. Alright, I'm back. I had to grab Ollie and give him a quick feed. So like I was saying, it did take me a while to get the bandage off because it was stuck. But comparing it to the bandage that I had taken off with Hunter, which was taken off at 7 days postpartum, this one was a lot better in terms of the pain afterwards, because the bandage that I had with Hunter's C-section, the nurse actually ripped off in one go. No warning, no nothing, no pain relief, nothing. And the scar hadn't actually started to like grow back together yet. It was just held together with dried blood. So when they removed the waterproof dressing, it literally just ripped all the dried blood out and kind of reopened that scar, which was a lot more painful and irritable compared to this time, which the scar has actually already pretty well closed up mostly anyway. Alright, I've just given Thomas Oliver just really quickly so that I can show you guys where I'm up to. So this is where my belly is at 3 weeks postpartum. Not really much of a bump happening there now. It's kind of just like what I look like at like maybe 12 to 14 weeks pregnant. Not really much of a belly happening there at all. I do have like a normal belly button kind of. It's just somewhat a bit more of like a crater, I guess, but I do remember that that kind of went back to pretty normal for last time when I had Hunter, except obviously the little stretch mark above my belly button where I had a piercing won't 100% go back to normal, but that's okay. And then in terms of my scar, I'll see if I can show you guys what it looks like. Alright, so this is currently what my scar looks like. I've tried to like cover up as much as I can, but you guys can see where it is, how big it is, and obviously it goes like a fair way across for my body. So they did have to make it slightly bigger than the scar that I had with Hunter because Oliver had such a big head. I have not got small babies for my body at all. Oliver had a 37 centimeter head. So what was Hunter's? 36 centimeters. I'm just looking at his little birth frame there. So it was only a centimeter difference, but he was 400 and something grams bigger than Hunter was, and he was taller, so he was a little bit more difficult to get out. So they did cut a slightly bigger incision for him. So in terms of how I'm feeling, I haven't taken anything, not even Panadol, in the last couple of days. So pretty well back to normal, aside from the fact that I did lift Hunter for a couple of seconds yesterday to get him out of the kitchen, and that was a big mistake because then I ended up feeling like I had my period afterwards, and I had like felt like my internal stitches felt like they were burning a little bit. So bad idea, won't do that again. Otherwise I'm pretty well just doing most things like normal, except obviously I can't like do the washing because I can't lean into the washing machine to pull things out because that'll stretch my tummy out, and can't lift washing baskets because they're obviously over the weight limit of what you're supposed to pick up, especially if they're wet because wet clothes are heavier. Not lifting the pram in and out of the car, but I did put Oliver in and out of the car yesterday for the first time, which was a little bit uncomfortable but not too bad. I could actually manage to do that, but walking around the shops after doing that for a while did start to hurt my back a little bit and my pelvis. So I guess everything in moderation. I definitely feel like maybe I did a little bit too much with Hunter because I was doing things like loads of washing, cooking, cleaning, vacuuming, everything that you're not supposed to do when I was 2 weeks postpartum with him. So definitely going to try and take the next couple of weeks a little bit easy, but thankfully we did sort a lot of the house out when my mum was here, so things are a little bit easier now. I'm actually sitting in the front guest room because we have actually moved the house around a little bit, so from now on I'll actually film in here because I actually get way better sunlight. I don't even have my ring light on in here at the moment, literally just the normal like bedroom light, and outside, which says something because the lighting in this house is absolutely terrible. But that's basically where I'm at so far, and I'll probably update you guys closer to 6 weeks unless something dramatic changes between now and then.